Okay, this is the Awan Brothers Part 4. This is for Paul Manafort. So it's the tweet storm is at Paul Manafort. This is for his defense. As I mentioned before, if he's called in front of the House Intelligence Committees about his Russia ties, one of the best defenses is actually telling the committee who actually did the hacking or presenting a reasonable alternative, and that's going to be the Awan Brothers. The Awan Brothers, for Paul's benefit, are three Pakistani brothers and their wives. Two wives that were involved in wiretaps, both through the physical wire, but also cell phone hacking. They were obtained White House visas through another brother named Omar Awan. They all had top secret access, and they were all from Pakistan, except the wives. One wife was from Ukraine, it looks like. So my point here is, if you're not familiar with the Awan brothers, there are these three brothers that were all making over $160,000 working for different Democratic House representatives. This information has been read into the congressional record by Representative Gomert. So in your defense, you are always allowed to bring in sources from the congressional record. So no matter if the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence can limit Trump today and limit the Department of Justice to what's entered, but what's already been read into the congressional record is a fair game for future investigations. You can't limit the scope of the investigation at that point once it's in the congressional record. So here are the two wives making three times what congressional staffers make. This wife here, Sova, was making four times. And they also have two car businesses that both kept very poor records, had a lot of money go through them, and we don't know where the money went. So the top secret clearance was secured by Representative Speer. Here's the letter on congressional letterhead. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the person who sponsored them. I've talked in the past, there's many news articles about the staff being under investigation for theft of equipment. So that goes right to hard drives, thumb drives, and so forth, which could have contained classified information. The other thing I've talked about is that they had an external server. This is the article that talks about that. There was also 20 burglaries of congressional offices here. So again, if people are looking for ties to the Russians, how the Russians might have gotten certain secrets like the CIA's hacking tools recently, they need to look no further than our most top intelligence committees in the House. Also, how did they get diplomatic passports can also be questioned, and Omar's visit to the White House to secure diplomatic passports. The Awan brothers, as I mentioned, worked for 31 different Democrats over 12 years. The burglaries are in the 20 most current Democrats they're currently working for, which is another smoking gun pointing at the Awans. Again, many New York Post article, Daily Caller, Brett Baer, Fox News, etc., and Representative Gomert have called this out. So this is discoverable. This is the father of the Awans. He looks like he is involved with Pakistani ISI training, a group called PSP. They're also affiliated with a terrorist group called SSP. There's the other Awans have lots of jihadi type imagery on their websites. This is all discoverable information. Also, their stepmother, the person who was married to the father here, who has gone back to Pakistan, said all the Awans fled. In her words, all the Awans fled to Pakistan. They grabbed his laptop. They ransacked the house she said she was entrapped in, and they took all the information, as well as they were expert in cell phone hacking. She testified to that effect. She also said that there was money that was moved from the U.S. and U.S. bank accounts to Pakistan in a drug laundering type money move. I've tied this to the 650,000 emails on Huma server, which also had classified information. Since there's a Debbie Wasserman Schultz common link here between the DNC hack and this server, this Huma server, I think that's relevant. I think there's a connection there between that server, Hillary server, Huma server, and the Awan server. So that I make that point. In this case here, Andrew McCabe is in charge of these two investigations from the FBI, Hillary's server and Huma's server. Andrew McCabe never sent out the FBI to look into the Awan server, even though it was four Pakistani brothers that had access to our most sensitive information and two wives, all six being from a different country. we've called for McCabe to recuse and put a new person in charge and allow a special FBI task force, not from counterterrorism division, but from the field offices, to work with the New York Police Department to actually get to the truth. I should have mentioned that the smoking gun here is Robert Boyce, who has said definitively that these emails, the human server contained classified information, also sex exploitation, child exploitation, and money laundering. So there's the connect. That's it, Paul. Good luck in your hearing.